Hello, 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 and welcome to today's podcast of Her Version. This podcast is dedicated to sharing stories of struggle to triumph, a platform that allows individuals to tell their truth in order to inspire and uplift others. I am your host, Sabrina Victoria. If you are new to this podcast, make sure you follow, like, subscribe, and share. Let's jump right in. Thank you for joining us today for this episode of Her Version. The Her Version platform is built on storytelling and the understanding that so many times our greatest learning experiences are from listening to other people's stories. Today, I am speaking with an amazing woman named Ana Lankford. Ana is highly trained in the treatment of trauma, CBT, EMDR, and motivational interviewing. She is the program director at Teen Recovery Solutions in Oklahoma and is here to shed some light on the subject of recovery. Ana has some amazing insight on this subject and is here to share some of her experiences with teen recovery as a professional and also as a mother. Welcome, Ana.
Thank you, Sabrina. I'm super happy to be here.
Yes, thank you so much for hanging out with me. I know that you are just probably always just so much going on. I can't even imagine what your days are probably like. So I so appreciate you taking a little bit of time out of your day to sit down with me and
You're very welcome. Happy to be here.
And talk about this. Hey, love, can you get me my headphones? Because it seems like there's a little echo. I don't know where. Anyways, can you talk to us a little bit about who you are, what you do in the industry before we kind of jump into all this goodness?
Sure. So we're a very unique program here in Oklahoma. In fact, we're the only program like it in the state, and we are a private high school for adolescents in recovery from addiction. So all of our students are working to be in recovery or have some pretty good recovery already. Our program helps them get caught up from, not going to school, falling behind, problems at home, going to treatment, that kind of thing. So we do a lot of credit recovery with them. We're a very small school, so we only have 15 students, and we have 3 full-time teachers, or 2 full-time teachers and 1 part-time teacher. So the student-teacher ratio is very, very small. So the kids get a lot of one-on-one attention. Yep. And in conjunction with the school, we also have our specific recovery program, and that's the program that I'm the director of, and we call it our APG, or Alternative Peer Group. And the purpose of our APG is to provide students with a built-in friend group, because when a young person gets sober, they say, and it's true, you have to change the playground and change the playmates. And for an adolescent, that's very, very difficult because that is their world. And so, you're asking a lot of a teenager to tell them, not only are you not able to do this, you've also lost your friends because your friends are using. So what we do is we provide them with a friend group, with a group of teens who aren't going through the same thing that they're going through, experiencing the same things that they're experiencing. And that meets 4 nights a week. And that program is led primarily by peer recovery coaches who are close in the teens age. My 2 coaches are in their 20s. And we do a lot of recovery focused work, obviously, but we also have a lot of fun, which is a big part of our purpose, is to show the teens that they can, in recovery and in sobriety, they can still have a lot of fun. They haven't had to give that aspect up of their life. So we do lots of fun stuff with them. We take them places. I'm a big outdoors person, so we do a lot of outdoorsy things, hiking, camping, that kind of thing. And then we are a 12-month program, so wrapped up in that, we also go on retreats 3 times a year.
Wow.
Yeah, 3 times a year. We take them for about, depends on where we go, between 4 and 5 days. Planning spring retreat right now, and that's going to be in Santa Fe, New Mexico. So we'll be doing a lot of fun stuff there.
Wow, that's so awesome. So whoever wants to go can go, and you guys just all go together and
Mhm,
experience awesome things together.
we do.
No
So
kidding.
it's really cool. I mean, I feel really lucky. I have a really fun job. It's a hard job, but it's a fun job.
Yes, and then you were telling me before we kinda got online here, the age group. What's the
Mhm.
age group?
So it can vary. The youngest that we usually will do is 13, and the oldest would be around 19. Our standard student would be high school age, 14 to 18, around in that range. So we are a pure high school, so it's freshmen through seniors. And all of our students, they do get diplomas, actual degrees and diplomas. Many of our students have gone on to college and beyond.
That's awesome.
Mhm.
How long have you been in the recovery industry?
I've been in the recovery industry since, gotta think, 2008, I think, roughly.
Wow, that's awesome.
I was a weird way that I got there was I was watching a Dr. Phil show, and there was a teenage girl that was out of control, and they were sending her to this treatment center, and they were describing the treatment center, and I was like, man, that sounds cool. I'd love to work there. And it was in Oklahoma, in Guthrie, Oklahoma, and I emailed the treatment center, and I was working there the next week. So
No way!
yeah, thanks to Dr. Phil, this is how I got where I got. So
Wow.
mhm.
A little side note, my story, my boyfriend will my fiance will attest to this. I am obsessed with Dr. Phil. I watch Dr. Phil all the time. I watch him on YouTube. I don't watch him on the TV. So you can just watch like endless amounts of Dr. Phil. But I
We'll
do
fix
my
you up.
makeup. I do my makeup to Dr. Phil. I wake up to Dr. Phil. I take a shower with Dr. Phil. I love Dr. Phil. That
Got me
is
here.
so
So,
cool.
mhm.
That is so
So
awesome. What a
and when
way
I went to
to like grab your dreams.
absolutely. And I was at that point in time in my life, I was kind of at a little bit of a crossroads, trying to figure out what my next steps were. And so I took the job out there, which was an adolescent treatment center for girls, and just fell in love with that work. And that made
Wow.
me have the drive to go to graduate school and get my master's degree and become a clinical therapist.
No kidding. Just out of nowhere. That
Folding
is so
laundry
cool.
one day, and there it was.
Yes. Yes. This is what I'm talking about. I absolutely love that. So you've been in this industry for a while. I know that you have some firsthand experience with addiction in your home. Can you kind of talk about that a little bit?
Yes, my older son, when he was a teenager, he had a hard time, just in general. He was different. He had some learning issues. Honestly, he was just kind of an odd kid. He just wasn't like the other kids. And so he had a really hard time fitting in. He had a condition called dysgraphia that made it to where he couldn't write very well. And so when he would write, it was very childlike handwriting. And so he was bullied a lot. And when he got into high school, it just got a lot worse. And the kids that would accept him were, the kids who were the kind of kids they'll accept anybody. And, those kids were the same. They were just like him. They were hurting. Um, they were fringe. They were not accepted. And so they gravitated toward each other. His behavior began changing, started getting calls from the school that he had skipped or dipped out, just little red flags were happening. And then he got caught at school with substances and was taken to the jail. And so I had to go get him out of jail.
Wow.
That was the first time.
Wow.
Yeah, we had a lot of run-ins with the legal system with him. Just, a lot happened. And I realized that if I didn't do something, my son was going to die. And so, I made a lot of mistakes. I did. I was very angry for a very long time, and it didn't help a
When
lot.
when did you kind of like, and I know we're going to get into this a little bit later in the interview, but like the instance between like when he kind of started, I guess, rebelling or however you want to put that, and then he actually got, I guess, in trouble and you knew definitively, how much time was that?
It's about a year.
Wow, no kidding. That's
I
so
was really
interesting.
naive.
Yeah. I
I
mean, not
was.
yeah, but like I would be too. Because you don't want to think that that's even something that would even occur to you. What are some of the things that now looking back, that you wish you would have done differently or would be doing differently now?
I would have done so much differently. First of all, I would have immediately gotten myself into therapy, because
Wow.
when you're going through this, you need support.
Okay.
We all know addiction's a family disease. I would have immediately gotten myself into therapy with a therapist who understood addiction. First thing. Second thing, I would have probably, well, I know I would have sought out help in the community because it was there. I just didn't know. I didn't know how to access it. The third thing I would have done very differently was not not blamed him. You know,
Oh, that's
I was
interesting.
really angry, like I said, very angry at his behaviors and things that were happening because, you'd be like, don't sneak out, sneaks out. Don't take the car, takes the car. Don't take my money, takes the money. Don't bring this person in my house because they steal from me. Brings the person in the house and they steal from me. You know, and looking back, that's the disease. And I
Wow.
wish I would have understood better that this was the disease that had my son. This was not my son. This was his disease acting out. Um, I think it would have given me a better framework whenever I was dealing with him and finding him the help he needed or the help that I thought he needed or hoped he needed. I did send him to treatment. And when he got home from treatment, I quit my job and I pulled him out of school and I homeschooled him. And this was before homeschool was a thing. Um, got his textbooks in the mail, that kind of deal. That was a long time ago.
Wow.
Um, I will say that my relationship with him, it took a lot of years to rebuild. But today my son's 34 and he's married and he's happy. He just bought his first home. He's a paramedic, just got promoted to uh, captain. I don't know how it works, but like he's a trainer. He's stable. He works hard. He loves his wife. He's sober. You know,
Wow.
however the path was, we ended up here, so I'm grateful for that. I just would have done some things differently as far as how I responded to him.
Yes, yes. Can you kind of touch on that a little bit more as far as you saying you wish you wouldn't have blamed him? Because I feel like as a mother with me, if that were to occur in my life, I would blame him. How who who do you go to make it not happen? If like who's accountable, I guess, is the
Exactly
question.
right. Who is accountable? He's a 16-year-old with developmental issues, with all these other things going on, who, to my vision, he was willfully disobedient.
Yeah.
I know now that he was acting out of pain. He was in a lot of pain for a lot of reasons. And maybe I would have had more empathy because, I don't think blame and empathy really can go together. Um, I think that having that desire to blame is just part of human nature.
Yeah.
And having anger is just part of the disease because it's cunning and baffling, as we all know. And so when something like that enters into your home and into your child, all you see is behavior. You see their behavior, you see their choices, you see them just doing dumb crap over and over and over and over and over. And so, yeah, it's really hard not to have that.
Definitely,
Yeah.
definitely. If you for those of us that are watching now live or those of us that are watching on replay, parents who maybe are nervous about their kids possibly getting into drugs at some point in their life. I have a 17-year-old. This is like the age where we start to get like nervous, 15, 16, 17. How are we supposed to even talk to them about drugs without them like, whatever, mom, got it, mom, yes, mom? How do we open up? How do we talk about it?
So for me, I think probably, and like, I work with adolescents, I work with teens, so this is what I do all day long, all the time. And I have a different type of relationship with my kids here, obviously. But I think for parents, it needs to be an ongoing conversation, an ongoing discussion. It needs to be something that's talked about, frequently. It something that you can discuss frequently. Like it's not, you don't have to lecture or do scare tactics. You don't have to do that. Your kid's not stupid. They know what you're doing. So honestly, just being able to develop a honest and trusting relationship, that goes both ways. You want to trust your kid, but your kid has to trust you. And so what that means is if your kid comes to you with a question that you're kind of like, what is this? Where is this coming from? Or comes to you and tells you, hey, at the party last weekend, I drank alcohol and I got drunk. How you respond to your child matters greatly. If you react with being angry or flipping out, they're not going to want to talk to you again. So it's going to build an environment of them feeling like they have to be secretive because they can't trust your response. So when you want a trusting relationship with your kiddo, you have to understand sometimes that means you're going to hear things that you don't want to hear. And you have to be prepared for that. Follow up with questions that aren't accusatory or blaming. It's more like, well, can you tell me more about what was happening at the party? Can you tell me more about, what was going on at that time or how you were feeling or, how did you feel afterwards? Let's talk about that. How does it feel to you to be talking to me right now and being honest with me?
Ooh, I love that.
So, we see our kids as our kids, but really they're adults in training.
Yeah.
And so it's perfectly okay to speak to your child or your adolescent as if you would an adult, really. You want to keep dialogue open about all kinds of stuff with your kids. Mental health, substance abuse, these are all things that are so critical with our youth these days. And, modeling that openness by you yourself being, available to your child, listening to your child about other things that are going on in their lives, it's just building that nurturing relationship between the two of you where they trust you, you trust them. And like I said, just an ongoing conversation about it. If they come to you and ask you specific questions, be prepared to sit down, drop what you're doing, sit down, pay attention. Because if your kid's coming to you like that, they've got something on their mind. And it probably took a lot for them to come and talk to you.
Absolutely.
So put your phone down, give them their focus. Yeah.
I love that. What, in your opinion, what is the line between acknowledging, listening, and appreciating their honesty, and then, like, I guess, condoning it or making it seem like it's not that big of a deal? Is there a line that needs to be set?
There needs to be clear boundaries in your home.
Okay.
I mean, your kid can come to you and tell you, I've done XYZ, and you can tell them, thank you so much for being honest with me. Thank you so much for being open. That makes such a difference in how I'm going to respond. You still have to, there's consequences,
Okay.
because there's consequences in life. So if a kid drives drunk, he loses his license or loses car privileges for 3 months, or loses social privileges for 7 days until you can talk it through, that kind of thing. There has to be consequences.
Got it. So for those listening, Anna's saying to be a good listener, but then to also have Also have your rules, also have your boundaries set in place for that. And do you think it's important to have the boundaries and the rules set up before something
Yes.
like this even happens? Okay.
Yep.
Because that's
That's
something
part of that
that
ongoing conversation. Yeah.
okay. Because that's something that I have done, and I kind of tussled with that a little bit because I didn't want to preemptively have him thinking that, like, that's something that he should be thinking about at this age. So I
Right.
kinda like, is it even worth talking about it because he might not even be it might not even be in his realm of
It
vision.
is, but here's the reality. It is.
Okay.
It's
Got
in
it.
all of these kids. If your child is in a public school, private
Yes.
school, has friends, it's in there. It's in the realm. It's there.
Okay. So
And
that's just us as parents being naive, basically.
it's hard, like when I would lead, I led family education at the treatment center that I worked at. And one of the things that I've said to the parents is like, first of all, when they put your baby in your arms, you don't think, oh, he's going to be a little addict. I can't wait. And second of all, there is no My Drug Addicted Child for Dummies book out there. And
Yeah.
that's because, you know, there's no roadmap to this kind of thing. You have to do the best that you can do with what you've got. And these kids are being bombarded with unbelievable things. Social media is so destructive. The kids I work with here, the number one way that they get substances, drugs, vapes, whatever, Snapchat. That's
Really?
that is the number one plug for obtaining substances for them.
Okay, so wait a minute. So, you know, here we're talking to moms, we're talking to parents right here. My son has Snapchat. What's going on? What are they doing on Snapchat? What does this look like?
Snapchat, it's designed for this kind of thing. And it doesn't take 2 minutes for your kid. I promise you, if you got on Snapchat right now, within about 30 seconds to a minute, if you knew the right words to put in there, you would be able to find what you were looking for that fast.
Wow.
It's pretty astonishing, really.
Wow. So like
Uh,
in the search they can put
in the search, it becomes like, if Jimmy gets his from Johnny, then it becomes very well known that you can contact Johnny or Jimmy, and they're going to hook you up, and you're going to be with this person. Da, 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 da. I have one kid who, like, literally, some kid in his neighborhood was driving around the neighborhood in his golf cart, and kids were like cracking their windows, and they were making transactions through the windows, and they would arrange all of this on Snapchat because it disappears.
yeah, it disappears. For those of you that
Yeah.
don't know listening, Snapchat disappears in 24 hours. Um
Or you can
and I
delete it right then and there, and it's gone.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually got on Snapchat because my son was on Snapchat. That's the only reason I got on, and that's the only way he communicates with me. They don't do text.
They don't.
Yeah, they don't even know what that even means. So if I want to text my son, I have to snap him.
Yep.
And that's how we communicate. But
I mean, just like anything, the Instagram, Facebook, whatever. I
yeah,
mean, there's negative on anything, but
100%.
it just makes it easier for them.
Definitely.